the key to recovery. The broadcast begins in 10 seconds. WDBC Internet Television is on. I am an avatar for Michael P. Borgia. The broadcast, originating from deep behind enemy lines, is brought to you by dailyborg.com. Conservative politics for the thoughtful. Resistance is futile. You will be assimilated. For 5 years now, the economy of the United States has been beset by recession, then by a stagnant recovery that barely deserves the name. Millions of Americans are still struggling with long-term unemployment, and hundreds of millions of us now effectively make less than we did when Bush was president. Trillions of stimulus, both fiscal and monetary, have done nothing but add to our monstrous debt. So what's the cure? We'll discuss that when the broadcast continues in a moment.
Patty, I boldly went to socialsecurity.gov, and it's out of this world.
Socialsecurity.gov is a website for everybody.
Even teenagers?
Absolutely. Young people can help their grandparents with retiring online or getting extra help with their Medicare prescription drug costs.
So really, everyone of all ages should go to socialsecurity.gov.
Boldly go.
What if I didn't come from a famous family? What if I didn't have all their support? What if I didn't have all these opportunities? Believe me, it wouldn't be pretty. Pause before you play.
What we were doing isn't working. The stimulus failed us, Obamacare is killing us, Dodd-Frank is strangling us, and trillions of dollars of fiat currency produced by the Federal Reserve is diluting our savings and ruining our future in the name of short-term anesthesia. Our economy seems hopelessly trapped in a cycle of sharp recession followed by periods of stagnant growth. And it seems to have become the new normal. All our liberal leaders seem able to do about it is blame George W. Bush and demand more of the tax and spending policies that have been responsible for the failures of the past 4 years. So how do we get our nation's economy growing again? Kristen Jones is here to discuss that with us.
Michael, thank you. Republicans in the House of Representatives are taking the first small steps on the road to fiscal sanity this week with a new omnibus bill to fund the government for the remainder of the year. It will lock in the savings mandated by the sequester, while apportioning the cuts in a way that will not punish our veterans or weaken our defenses. As Senator Rand Paul has stated, the sequester barely cuts any icing off the top of the cake. And more importantly, they don't promote economic growth because they take from the small portion of the federal budget that does promote economic growth.
Defense, space, research, infrastructure. These are the lines in the budget that create activity in the private sector. Yet they are the targets of the sequester. But the bulk of the budget is made up of programs that do nothing to create growth. Medicare is now the largest single item in the budget. Social Security is now second. Neither is touched. Means-tested entitlements cost over $1 trillion per year. They are also largely untouched. Meanwhile, our economy continues to flounder. The reason why has little to do how much we spend. Our overspending is creating a debt bomb that threatens to turn stagnation into recession, and recession into ruin. But how do we get from stagnation to prosperity? George W. Bush knew how. So did Ronald Reagan.
The answer is in our tax system. Most of the debate over taxes the past few months has been about the amount that we tax. This debate is a fool's errand. The problem is not just in the amount that we tax, but in how we tax. We consume the prosperity of the private sector by absorbing it out of the incomes of individuals and of businesses. And we do it in a way that punishes success. The better you do, the more the government takes. This disincentivizes hard work and weakens individual ambition. Our corporate tax rate is the highest in the industrial world. In a competitive global economy, this is a disaster.
President Obama and those who share his flawed line of thinking try to frame the argument over tax reform using one word: fairness. This is both wrong-headed and dangerous. Tax reform must be about one issue: competitiveness. Our tax system is making our nation non-competitive. We double tax in dozens of different ways. We punish your success. We tax your money before you can save it, then we tax the interest on your savings. We take your money from you before you ever see it. Then when you die, we tax you again. What big company in its right mind would want to do business in that kind of environment? The answer is fewer and fewer.
Daily Borg recently offered a plan for what a more competitive income tax-based system might look like. A 9% rate on all income from whatever source derived. The only deductions allowed would be for income earned up to the poverty level for a taxpayer's household. A single taxpayer living alone would pay no tax on his first $11,490 in income. After that, he pays 9% on everything. This creates certainty in the tax system that businesses crave, simplicity that saves billions in tax planning costs, and makes our nation far more competitive on the world stage. It would destroy the cancer of progressive taxation and allow the private sector to grow unencumbered by a progressive system that turns success into self-immolation.
But the flat tax has its flaws. First among them is that a flat tax never stays flat. Ronald Reagan signed a near-flat tax into law in 1986. The tax code gradually became more and more complex and more tax brackets appeared with each new administration. Now just 27 years later, the income tax code is as incomprehensible as it ever was. Second, the income tax would leave the siphon of withholding in place. Private sector wage earners would have their income taken from them before they can ever begin to make the economy grow with it. It still makes us less competitive than non-income-based tax systems. Third, its revenue stream is unstable. As the economy ebbs and flows, revenue to the government will also ebb and flow. Fortunately, there is a better way. A much better way.
That's the fair tax. The national retail sales tax, when properly explained to the American people, garners the support of large majorities. It is the most powerful growth engine ever invented, one that can double the size of the U.S. economy in less than 15 years. It lets you keep all of your own paycheck, untouched by federal taxation. And you don't pay taxes until you decide to spend your money. It removes the dead weight of billions of dollars in compliance costs from American taxpayers. It will bring millions of jobs to our shores because America will become the best place in the world to do business. Unemployment will rapidly be eradicated. Americans will know a prosperity unrivaled in their lifetimes. And the Internal Revenue Service will be closed. Forever.
Thanks, Kristen. The fair tax will flood federal coffers with cash, making both conservative and liberal priorities achievable at the same time. It will balance our budget by tapping revenue streams and sources currently closed to us. When a tourist buys a souvenir, he will contribute to our retirements. When a drug dealer buys bling for his girl, he will contribute to federal law enforcement. When an Arab oil sheik buys a $5,000 dinner at the United Nations, he will contribute to our energy and economic independence. And it will make recession something our school children will only know about from their history books. We'll be back with closing thoughts when the broadcast continues in a moment.
What the... Can I help you?
I'm depression. I've come for you.
Pardon me?
Depression, you know? I get people angry, keep them up at night, give them anxiety.
Muddled
with their heads.
That's
Crazy, yeah. Actually, the government likes to refer to me as a mental illness.
Well, shouldn't you be wearing a cape or a...
So people can see me coming? This is perfect. I got 20% of all Canadians already. I can get anybody.
When you drive for a living, you buckle up every time, whether you drive one of these or one of these. Truckers know what I'm talking about because no matter how good a driver you are, trouble can still happen. That's when you want to keep your safety belt on to keep you steady, behind the wheel, in control, and looking out for everybody. Safety is a professional driver's responsibility. Remember, you're the one who drives for a living.
A message from the U.S. Department of Transportation.
The Obama administration's campaign of terror against the sequester has reached the nation's skies. The Federal Aviation Administration has announced plans to close as many as 189 air traffic control towers by September 30th, with more than half that number closing within 30 days. This is despite the fact that the FAA is being asked to make do with the same amount of money as it had when it operated all those towers in 2009. There is no reason for this to be happening other than that the president wants to inflict as much pain on the American people as possible to try and force Republicans in Congress to give him what he wants, no matter how much it hurts the nation. 4 years ago, we published an article on Daily Borg on the president's style of governing. We called it Thugocracy. Well, we told you so. You have been assimilated.